What no one is telling you about bass fishing disqualifications. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to the vlog. My name is Steve Chapman. Been covering bass for a long time. Most people aren't talking about disqualifications is it has a very big impact on that angler. Now, sometimes it is political. It's not always about the times or buddy judging or inconsistent enforcement of the rules. That does happen, where one angler gets a warning and another angler gets a disqualification for the exact same rule infraction. And that stinks, but it is a darker side to competitive fishing. Now, cheating isn't always blatant, but a majority of the time, it does mean you will be disqualified. Accidental infractions can happen, and they do ruin that angler's reputation, such as fishing a spot that you weren't allowed to fish or fishing in an area that wasn't allowed. That will get you disqualified. I know in the past, and I'm just using this as an example, when Scott Martin caught that fish in that little area that he wasn't allowed to fish, people commented to me, why disqualify him? And the reason behind that is that you don't know which fish was the fish he caught there. But there's lots of other things that happen, such as not having a fishing license. That will get you disqualified. Not having the right paperwork to fish a certain area. That is automatic disqualification. Fishing during an off-limits period or a restricted area will get you disqualified. And you can't use ignorance as an excuse. You should know all of the rules and where you can and can't fish. Another thing that will get you automatically disqualified is the golden rule. Measure the fish twice. Some tours will just deduct that fish. Others will disqualify you completely. Being late can get you disqualified. For most time, being late or fishing early can get you disqualified. Also, being on time for the weigh-in. Being on time for when you launch. But getting there on time for the launch and the weigh-in can get you disqualified at times. And that's one thing that rarely happens. Usually you get weight taken off of your time. For X amount of minutes you are off, you get a pound taken off. But there are times when you're disqualified because you're completely late, or maybe even disqualified for that day because maybe you got a phone call or took a phone call. And I think a majority of us, the fans, want to know why an angler gets a penalty or why he was disqualified, and we want complete transparency. That doesn't always happen. In fact, it rarely happens. b.a.s.s and MLF and even NPFL are not out to hurt or disparage or make an angler look bad. An angler is paying a fee to be on their services. They don't want to lose that person. And anglers are supposed to self-enforce the rules, self-police the rules. They're also supposed to look out for other infractions that they might see from another angler and report it. Because if you don't, and it's caught or something else happens, you can get in trouble for that infraction also. The rules are in place to make everything a level playing field. Right now, there's too many people that don't think that the Scott Martin thing was a level playing field. I completely disagree. I don't think it was right that he got information in Okeechobee. I don't think it's right he got information for Pasquotank. Say whatever you want. It isn't me going after Scott at all. He broke the rules. It's plain and simple. He's going to move forward, and we need to move forward. But there's always been a lack of transparency from the organizations, which at some point, hopefully it will change. Also, there's a limited appeal process. When you appeal your suspension or disqualification, there needs to be a better way of resolving the issue, not just on polygraphs, because if you take the b.a.s.s polygraph or if you don't, you're either guilty or not guilty. Having someone else outside of the b.a.s.s process do a polygraph means zero. It just clears your name for your sponsors. It does not clear your name in the industry or what b.a.s.s is doing, or MLF or MPFL. But that limited appeal process is limited to the anglers because they should have the opportunity to question the witness and present evidence that backs up their innocence. And last but not least is polygraphs. They're not admissible in court. We know it. But we have to remember, this is the way that Bass has done things for years. This is what all of them have done it. I keep singling out Bass, and I don't mean to. All the organizations use polygraph to test if the angler is being truthful or if he is not. It's something we have to agree to disagree, as much as it stinks. I don't like polygraphs. You probably don't like polygraphs. But they're used to make sure that anglers aren't getting a competitive advantage over each other. And they have voted and said they want these polygraphs. That they not only want them, they want more of them. Because they want to know who is getting information or doing things wrong. Because it isn't fair to them. And it takes money out of their families' mouths, these people that are cheating. And the last thing about Bass disqualifications is dock talk versus informal conversation. You have to remember, if an angler is allowed to talk to an angler about whatever is going on. Now, they're not supposed to share spots, but they can talk fishing. They must be able to. Versus a casual conversation between a fan and an angler, where the fan might brag or talk about how great the fishing is, or talk about a spot, or talk about the biggest fish they caught at this spot. That casual conversation, if the pro angler isn't intending to gain information, if you're just spouting off because you're very excited to see said pro, that's one thing. If the pro starts asking you for specific locations, what bait you're using, tidal flow, clarity of water, all of that, that is intent. That's what we need to remember. There is a drastic difference from me talking to my best buddy about that's a pro angler and just talking about fishing. But if he were to call me or walk up to me or send me an email and say, how is Okeechobee fishing? How is Apopka fishing? That is intent to gain information. That's intent to gather information. Something that a lot of people don't understand and seem to think that everyone is completely innocent that does it. That's not the case. A rule is a rule for a reason. If you break the rule, you should be disqualified. And the big reason on this is a disqualification can have a drastic financial impact on an angler. Most anglers have a code of conduct written into their contract with a sponsor. But if that code of conduct is broken, that sponsor can stop paying that angler. And most anglers will do whatever they can to fight for that sponsorship, because sponsors are very hard to get. They will take their own polygraphs. They will have their own proof on what is happening and what isn't happening. But the biggest thing with a disqualification is the financial impact it has on that angler. Now, what do you think of what people tell and don't tell you about disqualifications at this point in time? Comment below and tell me what you think. I think the disqualifications that have happened recently are warranted. I'm not 100% sold on Heron being warranted, but I think the Martin disqualifications are warranted. He's had 3 in the last 13 or 14 events. And while he is very loved and has a massive following that honestly believes he's completely innocent, I respect all of y'all that love him and are super fans of him. He appreciates that. I can tell you that for sure. But we have to be realistic and we have to be open and honest about what happened in that situation. But what do you think? Comment below and tell me what you think. Thanks to all the new subscribers and members, everyone who's interactive on the channel. You guys have been rocking the channel. It's been unbelievable. The growth on the channel has been great. And I'm humbled and appreciative of it. So thank you. But if you're not a subscriber, you should be. It's quick, easy, and all you gotta do is hit that button and you make my day. So hit that button and welcome to the team. Remember, take your kid fishing, tight lines, cheers, and get your fish on.